how brown everything is. I'm not used to that. We'd still get rain in the winter in Indiana. There'd still be some moisture on the ground, but it's all frozen, dry, brown. It's kind of pretty. One of the things I love about being out here is the complete isolation. I can just tune out of everything that's going on out in the world. Just here, do the thing here. I love it. Okay, I take that back. I don't love it all the time. I still want to know what's going on out there. So in the mornings or in the evenings, I'll get online and look at the headlines, look at social media, that kind of thing. But the only thing I'm seeing or reading about is everyone's like, Joe Rogan, he's interviewing all the people that are saying all the wrong things about stuff. And I'm like, wait, Joe Rogan, what does this have to do with news radio? Well, apparently, on his podcast, he interviewed people that people didn't like the things that the people he interviewed said about stuff. And I'm thinking, hold on. People know what interviews are, right? So I'm not that old. I'm a little old. Anyways, when I was a kid, we didn't have all of these podcasts. That didn't exist. YouTube didn't exist. There wasn't a ton of cable shows, all with people. You know what we had? Donahue. That's it. We had Donahue. And Donahue was like, be sure to join me tomorrow as I interview the cast of the Beverly Hillbillies. And we'll be taking your questions. But right now, let's welcome Grand Wizard of the KKK, David Duke, who will be joining us for the hour. And I was like 6 years old, sitting there, eating my Count Chocula, and I was like, I don't think this is a very good person at all. And I was just waiting for Chippendale Rescue Rangers to come on. I mean, never forget your first love. And Donahue would be walking through the audience with his microphone, and he'd be like, now, Mr. Duke here says he bought uniforms for a Little League team. Your thoughts about that? And he'd hand the microphone to some audience member, and the audience member would be like, I still think you're a pretty bad guy. And the audience would be like, yeah. And I'd be like, yep, this is a pretty bad guy, all right. I mean, we're talking about an hour-long network television interview with the Grand Wizard of the KKK. And Neil Young wasn't like, oh, that Phil Donahue. And then the people in the View were like, oh, Donahue. And then the cable shows, Donahue. No. So this made me very curious. What were these interviews? What was going on? So I got on the Spotify and I found it. I didn't know what Spotify was. I downloaded Spotify. Then I typed in found Joe Rogan. And then I listened to the entire 3-hour-long interview and absolutely hated it. But it wasn't either the podcast with the doctor guys or whatever. It was a 3-hour-long interview with Carrot Top. I mean, good Lord. What does Carrot Top have to say? For 3 hours? I mean, you can't even show props on a podcast. Ugh. So maybe you're asking, what's your point? That's a good question.